Keanu Reeves had no idea that his ordinary morning in a luxurious coastal resort hotel would turn into a story that would touch everyone's hearts. And what if I told you it all started with a small dog and ended with an unexpected twist that changed more than one life? Subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and don't miss new videos every day at 2 o'clock. The weather that day was especially pleasant. A light ocean breeze drifted through the hotel lobby's open doors, bringing a refreshing coolness and the scent of the distant sea. In the pristine white foyer of this immense resort hotel, there was a gentle bustle. Some guests had just checked in and were animatedly discussing their vacation plans, while others were finishing their stay and saying goodbye to the staff, snapping last-minute photos. And there, amidst all the activity, stood Keanu Reeves. He had come incognito, hoping for some time away from the usual city buzz. Yet anyone who took a closer look into his honest, slightly tired eyes recognized him instantly. Keanu wore simple clothing, dark jeans and a plain t-shirt with no logos. On his feet, comfortable sneakers. He didn't try to draw attention to himself, preferring to nod or smile at anyone attempting to make eye contact. But one couldn't help noticing the small dog that was wandering near the lobby couches. This little dog seemed homeless. Its fur was clean, but there was no collar. The animal blinked warily and held its tail slightly lowered, as though seeking approval or affection. Everything might have been fine if not for the loud argument that broke out just a few steps from the reception desk. A man with an extremely displeased expression was shouting at the top of his lungs, berating the staff, the bystanders, and seemingly searching for any excuse to vent his anger. This man's name was Gregory Martin. Everyone on staff already knew him. He had demanded a room change, complained about the less-than-perfect temperature in the swimming pool, and glared at anyone he found too noisy. Keanu watched the scene, initially assuming the staff would sort it out themselves. But then something happened that changed everything in an instant. Gregory, noticing the frightened little dog not far from the lobby sofa, turned his gaze on the animal as though finding a new target for his outburst. Sensing danger, the dog backed away, but that didn't stop Gregory from barking more insults and making aggressive gestures. "Who let this mutt in here?" Gregory exclaimed, his voice echoing under the lobby's high ceiling. "Sorry, sir," mumbled one of the uniformed hotel employees, "it seems to be a stray dog. We called the local service that can find its owner or place it in a shelter." "What service?" "Get it out of here right now." Gregory started advancing on the dog, which sat back on its haunches, whimpering softly. "What if it's rabid? Or it bites me? I pay a lot for this room, and you can't even maintain proper order." A few people nearby noticed the scene, but no one dared intervene. They all sensed that arguing with a furious man might be useless. It looked like the dog was about to run away in fear, but something kept it there, perhaps a faint hope for help. Keanu heard Gregory's shouts and saw the fear in the dog's eyes. His compassionate nature stirred inside him. He took a step forward to calm both the man and the dog, but just then, a young boy of about 10 walked into the lobby. He was likely staying at the same hotel with his family, but while his parents were busy, he'd found his own amusements, running down the corridors, marveling at the marble statues, and so on. Now his attention was fully captured by the frightened dog. "Dad, look! It's so cute," the boy shouted, addressing the man who came in right behind him. Turned out, that was actually his uncle, Matthew, who followed with a friendly smile. The boy ran toward the dog, trying to pet it, but came face to face with Gregory, who stepped between him and the animal. "Where do you think you're going?" Gregory snapped. "Can't you see it's a stray mongrel? Maybe it's diseased. Stay away." "But it doesn't look mean," the boy said hesitantly, backing off. Keanu couldn't stay silent. Remaining calm, he placed his hand on Gregory's shoulder. "Please, sir, calm down," he said quietly. "The animal's not to blame for ending up here. We can handle this peacefully." Gregory pulled back, glaring at Keanu. "And who are you supposed to be? Think this concerns you?" A nervous hotel staff member tried to intervene, politely suggesting they move aside so as not to disturb the other guests. But Gregory wouldn't hear any of it. He looked at Keanu like a mere trespasser on his peace and, with defiance, said, "Maybe you think you're some kind of hero? Who gave you the right to tell me how to behave?" Deep down, Gregory knew he wasn't acting rationally, but his temper was short and he was prone to lashing out at the world for his own misfortunes. He never imagined that standing before him was a famous actor. "I'm not trying to tell you what to do," Keanu replied calmly, with the faintest smile. "I only see you've scared a child and a dog. Let's think about a more civilized approach." Emboldened by Keanu's support, the boy took a step closer to the dog, cautiously reaching out to pet it behind the ear. The dog was still on edge, but it didn't run away. It seemed to sense the boy's kindness. "Please, don't hurt it," the boy whispered. Gregory's irritation grew more intense. "Look, buddy, I don't know who you are," he squinted as though trying to remember where he might have seen this man before. "But if you keep pushing, I'll have to put you in your place." He took a step closer, clearly meaning to intimidate Keanu. But Keanu didn't move. His gaze remained gentle, his voice steady. He merely let out a soft sigh, realizing the man was serious. "I'm just suggesting we talk normally," Keanu said. "Without aggression." "What do you know about my problems?" Gregory shouted. "Your life must be so easy, huh? Look how calm you are. Probably waltzed in here on someone else's dime." Some people in the lobby began whispering. A few recognized Keanu Reeves. Some discreetly took out their phones, trying to film the scene. But Gregory was too consumed by anger to notice. At one point, Gregory shot a hateful glance at the dog, at the boy, and at the boy's uncle. The boy clutched the dog closer, and the animal whined softly but didn't snap back. "Ah, so that's it," Gregory muttered darkly. "All of you are so nice, yeah. A random dog is more important than my comfort. I'm done with this." Uncle Matthew placed a hand on the boy's shoulder. "Look, there's no need to be so rude. The child is scared. Can't we just discuss this calmly?" But Gregory acted as if he couldn't hear a word, fueled by his own problems and seeking a target to unload on. He stepped closer to Keanu, bumping him with his shoulder to provoke some physical reaction. "All right, let's see how you handle everything nicely," he said in a near whisper, loud enough for those around him to hear. Keanu, his expression unchanged, replied, "I'm sorry you're upset. It seems you're tired or troubled. But please don't take it out on a child or a dog." This composed response only further inflamed Gregory. He spun away from Keanu and loudly addressed the hotel staff. "Get these strays, two-legged and four-legged, out of here now. If your hotel can't provide me comfort, I'll demand compensation." A couple of guests, who recognized Keanu Reeves, exchanged looks. One of them couldn't stand it and shouted, "Hey, mister, do you even realize who you're talking to? That's... I don't care who he is." Gregory roared, waving his hand before the guest could finish. "As if I care about some big name." Keanu let out a quiet sigh and lifted his brows, looking at the fuming hotel guest. He hadn't wanted to reveal his identity publicly, but the unfolding scene left him little choice. He turned to the bystanders and smiled gently. "Friends, please don't film this, okay? There's nothing heroic here, just a man in a bad mood." But it was too late. Several people had recognized him completely, and a murmur went through the crowd. More hotel staff rushed over to figure out what was happening. Seeing Keanu, they instantly adopted a highly polite and attentive manner. Management was keenly aware how important the hotel's reputation was. "Mr. Reeves, we're so sorry for the inconvenience. We'll straighten this out immediately," began one of the managers. Yet Gregory still wasn't grasping why everyone was making such a fuss. He stood there, outraged, as the hotel staff tried calmly but firmly to lead him aside. he demanded. Wait, what's going on? I want answers. Sir, the manager whispered, you're creating a disturbance. Allow us to help you calm down. We can offer you a refreshing drink at the bar. I don't need anything. Gregory snapped back. Who is this Mr. Reeves of yours anyway? Why is everyone acting like he's some big shot? Keanu looked at the manager, then at the people around him, raising his hand slightly in a gesture of reassurance. No need for grand gestures. I'm just another guest. We simply had a disagreement, and I wanted to help. The simplicity and sincerity in his tone made a few onlookers smile. Gregory, however, finally noticed how everyone was looking at Keanu. He felt curiosity about whom he had just shoved and tried to put in his place. A vague realization of his predicament started to dawn on him. Wait, he muttered, narrowing his eyes and studying Keanu's face. Are you an actor? Or some famous celebrity? Keanu smiled, lifting his hands as if to say, no big deal. You might have seen me in a few films, but that's not what's important right now. The point is, you frightened a child and a dog, and you're spoiling everyone else's time here. A brief pause followed. Gregory glanced around and finally noticed that some people were discreetly recording everything on their phones. He realized he looked rather foolish, and his face turned crimson. Instead of apologizing, however, he tried to save face. Like I care who you are, he snapped, though deep down he already knew how awkward he appeared. I just want this dog out of the lobby. At that point, the boy, gaining courage, spoke up. Excuse me. But it's not just a random dog. I wanted to feed it. It's so hungry. And it wasn't bothering anyone until you started yelling. Gregory felt a fresh wave of frustration, not just at the dog but at himself, realizing how cruel he must look to everyone. Then a soft voice from the reception desk spoke up. Sir, we've already decided to call the local animal rescue. They'll come to check on the dog and, if it has no owner, they'll take it to a shelter. But if someone here at the hotel wants to adopt the dog. I'd like to, the boy interrupted, then glanced at Uncle Matthew, recalling he couldn't decide such things on his own. Let's discuss this with your parents, Uncle Matthew replied, also looking at the dog sympathetically. Keanu turned his attention to the dog. A thought flickered in his eyes, maybe he could adopt the animal himself. But he knew he traveled frequently and wanted the dog to find a more stable home. Gently stroking the dog's back, he asked the boy. What would you name this dog if you took it in? I'd call her Lucky, the boy said with a slight smile. She's such a little survivor, right? We'll save her. Hearing that name, Gregory heaved a heavy sigh, as if sensing he was losing control. He realized how mean-spirited his complaints appeared in that moment. But his pride wouldn't let him voice any apology outright. Instead, he stepped back, nervously straightened his collar, and said gruffly. Fine, do what you want. I'm just tired. Too many problems piled up. I lost my temper. Keanu did not respond with condemnation or behave as though he was above it all. He nodded and replied. We all get exhausted, especially when life throws us challenges. But you know, kindness, toward people and animals alike, often helps us recover ourselves. Gregory looked at Keanu suspiciously. You talk like you know my issues better than I do. No, Keanu answered. I've just had rough periods in my life too, and I learned you can't lash out at the defenseless. It's tough, but understanding and compassion help us grow. Gregory opened his mouth to retort something snide, but at that moment, the animal rescue team arrived. Two workers with a carrier and soothing voices offered to check if the dog was healthy. The boy and Uncle Matthew told them they wanted to keep Lucky, pending all the formalities. I'll show them to one of our conference rooms to fill out the paperwork, the hotel manager offered. Thank you, Uncle Matthew said with a smile. I hope the dog can stay with us in our room at least for tonight, until we sort everything out." The manager nodded. "Of course, we'll do our best." When the rescuers took the dog away, the boy cast a glance back at Keanu, as though wanting to say thank you. Keanu smiled at him and whispered, "Good job standing up for the dog." Meanwhile, Gregory, still standing aside, finally felt the weight of guilt. He looked awkward, realizing now who he had clashed with. Despite his embarrassment, he mustered the courage to approach. His voice was no longer haughty. "Listen. I might have overreacted. I've had a hard few days. I'm sorry." Keanu respectfully inclined his head. "Apologizing is a good first step. Thank you for understanding. I hope things go better for you from now on." I didn't recognize you," Gregory muttered, avoiding eye contact. "I wasn't trying to be recognized. I'm just a regular person like everyone else," Keanu responded. "We all have bad days. The important thing is you learn something from it." Some hotel staff helped escort Gregory toward the bar so he could cool off and regain composure. Keanu stayed with the boy and Uncle Matthew as they signed papers to temporarily take Lucky. The rescue workers assured them that if no owner was found, the dog could stay with this caring family. It turned out the boy's name was Liam, and he had long dreamed of having a dog, but his parents resisted until he proved he was ready for the responsibility. This incident looked to be the turning point in their decision. The hotel staff, who had witnessed Gregory's outbursts, seemed relieved when he left quietly. Some of them joked kindly, "Well, that's what happens when you pick a fight with Keanu Reeves." But Keanu merely waved them off, implying, "It happens," showing no resentment or contempt for Gregory. Once everything calmed down, the small crowd dispersed, talking excitedly among themselves. Can you believe how simple and calm Keanu was? But the main focus was on the poor dog and the lesson revealed by the angry troublemaker, showing everyone how destructive a lack of compassion can be. The bustle died down, and soft background music once again filled the lobby. Keanu approached the reception desk to complete his arrangements. He needed to confirm details for his upcoming departure. The manager, in a voice full of admiration, said, "Mr. Reeves, you were brilliant as always. Thank you for helping settle the conflict." "I just couldn't walk by," Keanu replied. It's important not to remain indifferent when someone's in trouble. Before heading to his room, Keanu lingered a moment. He saw Liam standing near the conference room door, where they were checking Lucky, listening anxiously to the veterinarians. Keanu walked over and gently patted the boy on the shoulder. "Don't worry, the dog will be fine. The main thing is that you found the courage to stand up for her." Liam smiled, gratitude sparkling in his eyes. "Thank you, sir. You know, I've watched your movies with my dad. But I never imagined I'd meet you in real life." "A fortunate coincidence," Keanu grinned. "And now you'll have the best friend ever, Lucky." I'll never forget today," the boy said. "When you stopped that angry man, it taught me not to be afraid of defending those who can't protect themselves." "And I'm glad you realized that," Keanu replied. "It's not enough just to watch movies with happy endings. It's crucial to create that happy ending in real life." With that, Keanu wished the boy well and made his way to the elevator. He felt a sense of relief in his chest, proud to have done something meaningful, even if it seemed small. Above all, he wanted people to understand, kindness isn't a privilege for the few, but a necessary part of life we all share. When footage of the incident surfaced online, people discussed not only that Keanu Reeves once again showed his simplicity and humanity, but also the importance of speaking up for the vulnerable. Many left comments about their own animal rescue stories and praised young Liam for standing up to an adult bully. Slowly but surely, the story spread, inspiring others to help abandoned animals and be more compassionate. Gregory, for all that he came across poorly, also learned a lesson. In an interview he gave a couple of weeks later, one he volunteered for, he admitted to severe emotional exhaustion from a series of family problems and work failures. He was grateful Keanu had not publicly shamed him, allowing him to exit the situation without further humiliation. In the end, that small dog, Lucky, changed more than one life. Liam finally got the dog he'd always wanted, and in the process became more responsible and brave. Gregory realized how crucial it is not to vent anger on the defenseless, and Keanu was reminded that his calling was to offer more than just movie roles to the public. He wanted to offer kindness in real life as well. Some might say it was just one episode, but isn't it these very moments that form our everyday lives and shape our view of the world? When we witness injustice, we can choose to intervene or walk away. Each act of stepping in triggers a chain of compassion, inspiring others not to remain idle. The conclusion is simple. A few days later, Lucky was happily running along the shore with Liam and his family. Liam's father approved getting a dog after learning how brave and caring his son had been when facing Gregory's aggression. Keanu left for another city on business, but the staff at the hotel remained, grateful for his visit and moved by his calm resolve. And everyone who witnessed this event came away with renewed understanding that we should treat every guest, and every living being, with a bit more kindness. And for you, dear viewers, the lesson is straightforward yet powerful. Small acts of kindness can change the world. If you have the chance to stand up for someone who's vulnerable, offer support in a tough moment, or simply say a kind word, do it. You never know how deeply that single gesture may resonate in the life of another person, or even an animal. Be kind, and the world becomes brighter.